Well, he won't deny.
What was the, I saw the Hall of Fame.
Alright, you guys are live. You guys are all set to start.
We're live.
Okay, we're live.
We are live.
Look, yeah.
Didn't somebody do that, like Dylan or someone like along those lines, wouldn't accept
I like
it?
it. All right, everybody, we're gonna convene our meeting. Ozzy Parenti couldn't be here this evening. He wasn't feeling well, so I'm gonna run the meeting, and it is our January 4th, 2022 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. I'll have those at the table introduce themselves, please.
Tamara Trantalis, Administrative Assistant.
Tom Torrenti.
Paul Kaplan.
Kevin Cornell.
Judy Smith.
Jack Demergen, Zoning Administrator.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the election of officers. It's required by Section 7.1 of the TPZC bylaws. The first meeting in January of an even-numbered year shall be an organization meeting, at which time the officers will be elected. So I want to see if, do we have a proposed slate for officers?
Yes, I'd like to propose the following slate for the commission's consideration. Chairman, Oscar Parenti. Vice Chairman, Judy Smith. Secretary, Paul Kaplan. Everyone else keeping a low profile.
I'll second that. Is that will you second this stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the slate. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Congratulations, everyone.
Item number 2 is the review of the minutes from our December 7th meeting last year. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Do we have any edits?
Oh, I don't think so.
Nothing here, Judy.
Okay. Then we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Next item is old business. Anybody have old business to come before the commission? Okay, then any new business? Nope, it's too early in the year. Okay. And then number 5 on the agenda is the report of the zoning enforcement officer. So Jack, over to you.
One or two things. First off, just want to make everybody aware that we did receive a re-subdivision application last week that is currently being reviewed by the regional planning authorities for one lot at the end of Skyview Road. Just so everybody is aware that that's coming through the works. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is late last year when we had our discussion with Vinny in that special meeting for the new legislation from the state. I told everybody, I think at the last couple meetings, that I was going to start chipping away at that stuff and slowly adding it to our agenda.
Figment of your imagination.
Yeah, the blender over there. I was going to start with the 3 topics that we had the options of opting out of. One of them being the accessory units that would be allowed if left unregulated by this time next year. The temporary healthcare structures, which honestly are pretty much the same thing except designated for healthcare workers. And the third was limitation on parking spaces in the residential zones. So I think preliminarily we had kind of...
I don't remember what
The limitation on parking
There
spaces.
was-
Just,
I have it here.
you can just, what was it?
It was this based on the number of units or tenants that you have, they restrict parking, like 1 space per number of tenants.
Can you remember it? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't one that we really spent much.
All that we have to opt out of
These
by
were the 3 that we...
January of 23?
January 1st, 2023. These were the ones that we had the option on. And I know we didn't really have in-depth discussion, but, I figured maybe I could get something on the agenda for either next meeting or the next 2 meetings, because I think I would also have to send it to the regional planning authorities for them to review before we can actually discuss, because it would be amending our regulations. But I wanted to gauge if everybody was okay with that, if they wanted, a different order, or if they. There's a couple other things we have to do, but I was just going to start with this and kind of chip away.
And those are the first three.
Those were the first
In
three.
the
The
timeline.
only other one that I was going to bring up after is outdoor dining is the first legislative change that would come into effect. That is one that we don't have any control over. That is, as of April 1st of this year, outdoor dining is a permitted use as of right for all food establishments. And I was going to ask, I think we do still need to change our regulations to comply with it.
Right.
Because they'd be
That was a
obsolete
special
anyways.
use permit.
Correct. Right now, it's
Right.
special use. As of April 1st of this year, it's permitted as of right. So that's something that I also would put on the agenda that,
But we can't actually change, we should change it before or immediately after the, or the
that's
effect,
kind of
or
what
the
I
effective date?
was
Okay.
looking for a little discussion. And I could bring it up with Vinny as well, but I don't know if that's something we want to do before or because our special permit requirement right now is null and void as of April 1st, then it, it's not too much of an impact, but obviously we still have to change the language, so.
Yeah, I think it may be a Vinny question, or at least it has to go to Vinny, as
Okay.
well as to, so that we can talk about
Yep.
it, like his input.
Yeah, for when we would want it either before or after. But
And why don't you just tee up one of the other statutory considerations in consecutive meetings so it doesn't
Yeah.
take over the whole agenda?
yeah, we could
Notice
do
them
that.
out,
Spread 'em out.
public hearing, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do the three that we have options for at the same time. Again, I'm totally up for discussion. If we want to do it in a different way, that's fine with me. I was just trying to. I don't want to wait until everything's at the end of the year and then we have to do everything.
Right.
Right.
So sooner, obviously, the better.
Spread them out over the next.
Yeah, I'll touch on the outdoor dining because again, that's the one where there's no wiggle room, and that's April is the end
The only
date.
issue there is, I think
The only issue there is, when it starts
Right.
and how we handle the current regulations vis-à-vis April 1st.
It probably has to come off.
Yeah.
Has to come out of the regulation.
Yep.
Yeah, probably have to omit it completely, but we still do have site plan authority over that. So if they have to build a new patio, we don't have to approve the use. We still have to approve the structure, obviously. But okay, I'll reach out to Vin and kind of ask if that's something better to do before April 1st or after, and then I'll start drafting something for these topics that we have the option of opting out on, just so we could have general discussion. Not saying we are going to opt out, but those are the three that we have the options for. So, other than that, I don't have anything else. If anybody's got anything for me, I'm all ears.
Okay. Well, we'll start addressing those new state laws pretty soon. Now we are at the public hearing portion of our meeting, and we have two items on for public hearings, and I will ask the newly elected secretary to read the public notice.
I am ready. To appear one time on Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, and one time on Tuesday, December 28th, 2021, the Orange TPZC, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that on Tuesday, January 4, 2022, at 7 p.m. at the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, the Orange Town Plan and Zoning Commission will conduct a public hearing on the following: a special permit application submitted by Vanessa Santiago for the property known as 501 Boston Post Road to install a food takeout establishment in the C2 district under Section 383-50, subsection F, as in Frank, of the Orange zoning regulations. Next is a site plan application submitted by R and F, as in Frank, Orange, LLC, for the property known as 538 Boston Post Road to construct a 2,361 square foot expansion in the rear of the existing building and update the current parking lot. A lighting supplement has also been submitted in conjunction with this application. A copy of this notice has been filed with the Orange Town Clerk. Additional information is on file in the Orange Zoning Department, dated in Orange, Connecticut, this 20th day of December, 2021.
Thank you, Paul. Is the first applicant here? And please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Here.
Perfect, yep.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Santiago. I'm the owner of Sweetness Bites. Sweetness Bites is a dessert shop that majority is takeout. We offer ice cream, we offer bubble waffle, we offer mini pancakes, milkshake, and I'm seeking for a special permit for a takeout.
Is there any seating in the establishment now?
No seating.
Okay. All right, Jack, I'm going to have you read this section, 383-50, subsection F.
383-50 subsection F. A food takeout service incidental to the primary intended use, but shall not include the following. 1. Establishments where customers are served primarily at food takeout counters. 2. Establishments where customers are served in a manner intended for consumption of food at outside picnic or dining areas.
So I spoke with Ozzy prior to the meeting, and he sees a bit of a conflict between what our regulations allow and what the applicant is seeking to do. And I think it boils down to the fact that there's no seating. And this is exclusively takeout. So it isn't incidental to another, type of the operation. It's exclusively takeout.
Do you know, or is there like a historical reason why we care whether there are seats or not within the establishment?
You spoke with Paul?
Yeah, I spoke with Paul Denise about it, and he seemed to be under the impression that the purpose of it was if you are entirely takeout restaurant and have no seating, then you would need the special permit. The way that, Ozzy interpreted it, and I'm not saying, one way or the other, is that if you offer a food takeout service, you need this special permit, which didn't really click with me because every food establishment offers takeout, regardless if it's sit down or
Sure.
what kind of food it is.
Yeah.
Paul seemed to be under the impression that if you don't have seating, then you would need the special permit, but you could have the special permit without the seating. I understand the way it reads might look like it has to be, incidental to the primary use of a seated restaurant. And I know a lot of places in town have added a few tables to obviously avoid the need for the special permit. They'll have, 2 or 3 tables, even if they didn't plan in the beginning of having indoor seating options.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me that the planning decision about this would revolve around whether or not there was going to be a traffic use generated where a sit-down restaurant might be a table turnover every half hour, 15 minutes, whatever, depending on the brand. You could have a higher volume of traffic in and out. In this particular instance,
Try to make sense of it.
yeah, I mean, it's a very small shop. It's,
Plenty of
does,
Plenty of parking over there
there's
as well.
plenty of parking. I mean,
Is it understanding that we've applied this to say that there's no takeout?
that doesn't make sense.
We can't seem to find a food service establishment that has 0 seats.
What about Munson's?
But that's a retail establishment. That's, if it were like a bakery or a candy shop, you go in, you buy a good.
That's a good point.
It's almost semantics, though. I mean,
Yeah, what's the
Everybody who
difference, because their ice cream gets placed in a waffle cone?
Well, no, I mean, at Munson's, do you consume?
There's no tables, you take out. It's
while you're
food.
there?
But there's no difference between Munson's and the front counter at CVS.
I'm thinking the same thing.
I brought up Dip Top, but I know that was pre-existing, so it might be before. But when I think of a dessert shop or something like that,
Well, that's
I mean-
a good point.
Right.
And
And
she-
I know it pre-exists most of these conditions.
Right, but could she not get around this or fit into this by just shoving a couple of tables in there?
Yes, that would be fine, but then you need a public bathroom.
The issue is, yeah, the bathroom is the kicker
They
here.
could
Yes.
do, a couple stools, in a
Right.
high top.
That would mean.
The bathroom would be required again.
Correct. I
Right.
believe
Right,
that
by
triggers the
building
need for
code.
the bathroom.
So, and we have, I'm just trying to remember as a board, and God knows some of us have been here for a while, have we used this to apply so that the takeout is not acceptable in Orange, in C2 zone? I don't remember anything coming before us like this.
Well, it's not prohibited, it's allowed under this circumstance.
So it would seem to me that you have the prior zoning enforcement officer who said, to his knowledge,
Right.
his interpretation was that if you don't have chairs, tables and chairs, that you need a special permit, which is what the applicant's coming in for.
And that-
Why can't we
Just grant it.
interpret the regulation?
As
that
requiring
way.
a special permit.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, so let's look at the language again, and we may
Yep.
have to dust up the language to conform with how we want it to actually
Right, well,
operate.
right. I mean, this
I
might have
think-
eliminated an issue.
Right, it might just be bad wordsmithing.
So special.
Right.
Now, if it wasn't 1,000 square foot place, and it was,
10.
Yeah.
maybe we
Right.
we were effectively creating a drive-through in a parking lot, I think that would be a different
Right,
This is
thing.
35350 F. is it,
F
Frank?
for
Correct.
Frank.
In the drive-through, you need a special permit anyways, because for a drive-through itself, you need a special permit.
I'm sorry, this is a public hearing. Should we have asked if the applicant, before we had our discussion, should we have asked the applicant?
We can.
Oh,
The
I'm
applicant
sorry.
can speak at any
Sorry.
time,
Yeah.
can interject, we can ask questions, yeah,
Okay,
and the public too.
And the public
When
also.
we get there.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we're not deliberating, we're
Okay,
having a
good.
discussion.
Is the establishment already fit out? All the plumbing and everything is in place?
Yes.
And it says
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. It says, "A food service takeout incidental to the primary intended use, but shall not include the following: establishments where customers are served primarily at food takeout counters." They're served food, I mean, at an ice cream place or a sweets, no offense intended if that's, but it's a dessert shop, right?
Yes.
You take out desserts and you bring them home? You put them in containers?
Yes. We also offer Uber Eats and DoorDash. That's our mainly,
Sure.
yeah.
Not include following food takeout service. Go ahead.
And out of curiosity, what's the regulation on a public bathroom? Why, does there have to be more than one?
It's building code and health code, I believe. If you offer a public or a place to sit for your patrons, you have to provide a public bathroom.
Okay, so listen to the question again. How many do you have to have, and can there only be one? Can there be just one?
I believe there can just be one.
So if
Kevin,
she
one that
marks
would
this
serve-
bathroom as a unisex bathroom,
There's one bathroom in there already?
there's
Yeah,
one
it's in
bathroom
the
in
kitchen.
there.
Oh, we're done.
But it's in the kitchen, is it accessible to the public?
No.
Well,
Back.
you might want to think about how you're answering the question.
All right.
It's in the kitchen, so
Oh,
it's.
okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
We were trying to,
Teleport
The
it in.
bathroom is located inside the kitchen.
okay. Yeah,
Is there a viable way to reconfigure that kitchen? so you
No,
could
not
Create
really.
a corridor and get back there?
You'd have to move the bathroom to where the storage room is. And then
Well, that
turn
would
the
be the
door
right way.
towards the, what's that?
That would be the right way.
Yeah,
flip
that
it.
would be the right one. And the bathroom's already installed, ma'am?
Yes.
Is the bathroom already constructed, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it. So Kevin, I just want to pursue your line of thinking, so that if she's applied for a special permit,
Right.
and in order to do a food takeout service where customers are primarily served at food counters, what is our holdup? What's the impediment to this board doing that, assuming that we were so inclined?
Well, if we, and you guys are the practicing attorneys, if we say that served at a counter means that, not that they're picking up food there, but picking it up to consume it in the place. I don't know, it's what is served, primarily served seems to be the sticky.
But she's already testified that it's not her intention that they eat it directly in front of her.
Right.
She packages it, and they take it out. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
differentiate it from any of the other sweetness shops in town, Munson's or anything
Right, well,
else.
then she should be considered a retail, that she's retail. Like, you go in and you buy a cake at the bakery and you leave. But there's no, but she's asking for a takeout service. So, if it were strict retail, there's no problem.
Right. But it is a food establishment.
Well, then what does the special permit actually mean if it doesn't mean the way Paul used to interpret it?
From me and Ozzy's discussion yesterday, we seem to think that it was what percentage of this food establishment's business is takeout.
Here, it's going to be 100%.
Right.
And if it's 100%, you're telling me that Paul's, I'm just curious, it's Denise's interpretation, was that they would need a special permit to do it? Or they were prohibited from doing it?
They would need a special permit if they were to offer 0 seating for patrons inside.
Right, but Ozzy's saying he's reading it different.
All right.
Saying that if you do takeout at all and it is more than 50% of your business, then everybody should have this.
So,
Then everybody should have,
This
special permit.
Sorry.
So what's the, what's the differentiation between a retail establishment and a takeout establishment? Would something like a bakery be required to have a public restroom, for example?
Not if they don't
If
have
it were just a bakery, but if they had seating and served sandwiches and coffee, then yes. But if it were strictly a bakery where you make an order, you go in, you pick it up, you leave. There's no consumption of product on the site.
Right, so a place like Julia's, for example,
Yeah.
do they have seating?
They do,
They
yes.
Oh, they
right.
do?
Yeah, they
but
do
if
now.
they didn't have it, we wouldn't be
Then
prohibiting
it's your
them from
Munson's
doing it.
example,
Yeah, it's the
again.
Munson's example, but they're not, but it's not a retail establishment. It's a
Right.
food service establishment.
isn't that the same as what we're talking about here? In other words, if it was just a bakery, no chairs or anything like that, they go in, they take stuff, prepared, one way or another, and then they take it away. I don't see the difference between that and...
Right, see, to me, a food service establishment is something like a restaurant.
Yeah,
Munson's not a restaurant.
no,
No,
The
let's-
old Wolf's Bakery was not a restaurant.
Right.
You went in, you bought your products, and you
right,
left.
no disagreement. And so this is also not a food, I mean...
But that's what the applicant's coming in
Take-
under.
No, it's a food, it's definitely consumption of food, but it's a takeout.
Just for example, if she were to set up shelving and have some minimal amount of product, then it effectively
be
becomes an
retail.
Retail.
Entenmann's or something.
Right.
Or a Munson's.
Strictly retail. Then you wouldn't interpret it as a food service establishment.
I think, and this becomes a question of timing. I think that the regulation is written very vaguely or not in a way that lends itself to, a very easy
Because
consideration.
I really considered it that if they were takeout, that they would need a special permit. I mean, that makes sense to me, but I'm not sure that's
What the regulation says.
right. Can we ask Vinnie how it should be interpreted?
Absolutely.
We could keep the public hearing
Yeah, if we keep it
open,
open.
get Vinnie's input. By then, Ozzy will be there, and you can hear his,
Your first name was Jessica?
Vanessa.
Vanessa, I'm sorry. So I don't think we're saying no or yes right now. We're just trying to grapple with how we should interpret our regulations is where we're at right now.
Yeah, you have a very nice use, and we would wish you luck with your success. The question is, how do we either make the regulations conform,
Right.
which is a bit of a process. So as an example, we don't know your timeline. If we were to meet in 2 weeks and say, you know what, we want to clean up the language on this, we have to follow a certain procedure where we make a proposed change, we put out a notice, we have a hearing, we change a regulation, and a couple of months would slip by. But then, assuming things went a certain way, you'd have a much easier road.
That's assuming that
We
The-
don't decide
that
it does fit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
right. I mean, one avenue might be for the applicant to withdraw and then come in under retail.
Right.
But I think,
So if she's going to, if she sells anything on the shelves, puts any sweets on the shelves as Munson does or anybody else, then we got a totally different application.
right, then it's not takeout.
Would that be prohibitive, Vanessa, for you to have a limited amount of product on shelving?
No, because we could have cones or we could have pre-made stuff already made.
In like little in little refrigerators.
Yes, correct.
And was it your, or is it your expectation that your customers will consume on-site? Or they
No.
take the product and they go home, or like Uber Eats, it gets delivered?
They take the product and go home.
Okay.
We started with a food truck, and that's how everything. Yeah.
That's terrific.
Right. And Jack, you're telling me that when Paul was here, and I'm not comparing one to the other, I'm just trying to get a feel for what we've done before. We would have ordinarily looked at this application, and we looked at Paul, and Paul would say, yeah, under section, 383, 50, F as in Frank, that we would ordinarily say she needs a special permit, but she'd be okay.
Right, and that's exactly why I reached out to him, because I know, even when he was still here and I was working, under him, I had asked this question of, if they don't want seating, then they have to get the special permit. But
Right.
there's, I don't want to call it a loophole, but, in the past, restaurants and small places like this were advised to fit a small table or two in there so they could kind of get around this need of special permit.
Right.
So, because if you even offer the option there, then you're a permitted use as of right. But if you have no indoor seating options for your patrons, then it's entirely takeout.
And that
The
is
sticky wicket here,
Right,
though,
and
is
that-
the minute you put a table, you need a bathroom.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, but I think that if we interpret the need for a takeout place to have a special use permit, then we have the flexibility to look at the size of the operation, the traffic generation, the traffic
Right.
flow.
I think it gets us to where we.
Special permit.
Right, and I think that's in my mind where I'd want to go.
Exactly.
You know?
So either this language fits, or we should have language that fits.
Right.
Or should we adopt language that fits?
I'm just trying to see in the statutes where it says it wouldn't fit. Thanks. Under F, a food service.
I think the hiccup is incidental to the primary intended use. And that primary intended use is supposed to be a
Restaurant.
indoor restaurants where other food and beverage services.
So where, Ozzy's take on it was that if there was a restaurant in any fashion that was associated with this,
Correct.
then then it would require a special permit, but we could allow it, so to speak.
Granted, yeah.
But without any incidental use.
Right.
We just
The
couldn't have a takeout.
His interpretation is the takeout is allowed, the ask for the takeout's allowed because there's an existing.
Oh, wow.
This is an
Okay.
incidental use to a primary.
Right. And he's saying that if there's no indoor seating, then there is no primary use.
There are no Chinese takeout?
And then if,
That's China Walk. I haven't been in there, but I thought of that as well. There
Right.
might be a restaurant or two, and I looked around. I
I
couldn't.
think that may be one of the things where they threw a table in the back or something like that. or,
Yeah,
you know,
it very
on the
well
side.
could be.
yeah, or
Okay.
Baskin and Robbins.
Is there a I mean, there may be a.
There might be a
Oh,
or
I'm
two,
sure
but
there
it's
is,
the
yeah.
public bathroom
Right.
aspect.
Right.
And it would be a hardship to try and move the bathroom into a public location
Oh,
from
right,
its
it says
existing
public
one.
bathroom?
Well, that's the building code.
Oh, okay.
He has to look for something.
Okay.
All right, so I think we want to keep the public hearing open.
I would like to.
Okay, and then we'll get some legal advice, our chairman back.
What we're going to do is, on our end, you've made a very nice presentation. I mean, I think it's a very nice business setup. We're going to look for some interpretation from our counsel, our attorney, okay? And then also our chairman is not here today, and will be in force, hopefully, all of us at the next hearing. And I think we
In 2
need 2
weeks.
weeks, right?
Yep.
I believe
Is it 17?
18th.
Okay. So if you can come back at that time,
Okay.
hopefully we'll be able to make some kind of decision.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Vanessa.
very much.
Have a good night.
You too. Oh, I never.
Okay, the next item for our second public hearing is the site plan submitted by RNF Orange LLC for property known as 538 Boston Post Road. The applicant is heading to the podium.
Yay.
Evening. Name is Scott Milnamo. M-I-L, excuse me, M-I-L-N-A-M-O-W, 7248 Morgan Road, Liverpool, New York, 13088.
Should we tell him that he can put it up there? Can he fit it up there? Oh, no.
No,
He's
that's
all set.
It's probably easiest like that.
Yeah, okay.
So my name is Scott Milnamo. I work for Raymore and Flanagan Furniture. I'm the Senior Vice President of Real Estate for the company. Been with the company 21 years. And the shopping center that we own is on Boston Post Road. We have a couple of vacancies in the shopping center, a former TJ Maxx space and a former Famous Footwear space. And we have secured a deal, a lease for a national grocery store. Unfortunately, I'm under a NDA. I cannot disclose the grocery store, but it is a national, will be well-known type grocery store. And in order to put them into the shopping center, we need to expand the back of the building about 2,300 square feet. And Mike Marinas, our engineer, can go through the detail of that, but I just wanted to make an introduction to the project.
Good evening. My name is Michael Marinas. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut. I work for the firm of Barapinacci and Van Wheel, 175A Commerce Drive, Hauppauge, New York, and 98 Fair Street, Guilford, Connecticut. Sure.
It'd help the record.
It's Michael Marinas, M-A-R-I-N-I-S.
Thank you.
As Scott mentioned, the 2361 square foot building addition to the existing 155,000 square foot shopping center is proposed to the rear of the existing building, which this increase represents a 1.5% increase to the floor area of the building. The project conforms in all manners to the town code. And the building addition, like you mentioned, is proposed to be in the rear. We're also proposing some loading dock, 2 loading spaces in here.
Excuse me, sir, I need you next to a microphone, please, so I can.
Oh, sure.
I know there's room there.
Okay,
Which one does
does
he
this
have to
move?
No,
Can I take this
that's
off?
not the one.
I'm so sorry. You can't take it off.
Okay, no, this
You
is
can,
fine.
like, pull it towards you a little bit
No, this is
closer,
this is
though.
fine. This is fine.
My microphone is the one on the.
This one?
No.
This one. Okay. Lots of microphones. Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Thank you. So the proposed building addition is located here. Proposed loading improvements, loading dock, 2 loading spaces in here, proposed compactor in this area here, and some proposed utilities, generator pad, transformer, and recycling garbage is to be located back behind the building as well. In addition to those improvements, we are going to be removing some pavement in the back and increasing the buffer along the south and east corner of the property. That will serve to not only increase buffer, increase green space, but reduce the runoff from the project. We're also proposing some minor parking lot improvements and some electrical vehicle charging stations in the front here. There are going to be some cart corrals and some handicap access and crosswalks improvements in the front of the building as well. The other thing I wanted to mention is improved truck access. We are modifying the entrance over in by Peck Lane, improving the turning radius there to better allow trucks and emergency vehicles to enter the site. In addition, we are upgrading all the existing lighting fixtures to LED. We prepared a traffic study for the project. It was submitted to the Police Commission in October, and there was unanimous approval. These plans have also been reviewed by the Fire Marshal, James Vincent. He had some comments about truck circulation, and that's why we made some improvements over by Peck Lane.
And he signed off on it?
You did, yes.
Okay.
We've also submitted the plans to the town engineer, who had some comments about the Peck Lane entrance as well, and all of his comments have been addressed. I did want to indicate that your staff has been very helpful with our reviewing of the plans, and I appreciate all of the help and the input that they did provide. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
What are the, I think Judy's usually the question.
What are the hours of operation?
I'll leave.
Yeah, I don't have specific, they haven't committed to specific. I looked on the website. They have about 33 stores open nationally right now, and it appears, at least from what I found, it's 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Are any of them 24-hour stores?
No.
Sir, so the improvement to the truck access off of Peck Lane, changing that radius of curvature is a good idea, judging from the shape of the curbing at that corner. So your primary truck access for a grocery store is going to go along the back of the building, then turn, and you've left some parking out to make a K-turn back into the loading dock, which is currently just some bumpers
Try
up
to keep
against.
the microphone and point.
Yeah. So it's,
And they back in,
yeah.
and then they have, you can see that this area here doesn't have parking.
Right.
Specifically to allow the truck to make this turn.
Yeah.
And come out the same way it comes in.
So something that I had meant to talk to Jack and the engineer about is it would help us non-professionals to, see the WB 67
Yes,
truck movements.
That was the same question that the Fire Marshal Vincent asked for, and I submitted that, and I have a copy here that I'm happy to circulate, and if you have any questions about it, I can walk you through it.
Because you've gone to great lengths to match the parking ratio of 658 provided and required, but it looks to me like getting in and out of that loading dock, you'd be better served by losing a few employee parking spaces and asking for a minor variance and give your truck something not to hit in the backyard. I think Raymore and Flanagan would be happier over time.
Or potentially
I'm just want to double check
Well, like
the parking count.
these ones
We're right
that
at
stick up
parking.
here,
Yeah, so specifically, the fire marshal did bring that up, and we had originally had those be landscaped islands, and so those were changed to
painted island.
painted islands, and
Okay.
that came out of his comments as well.
And
I have
these
the-
6 up here, looks like if someone's trying to get into that space, this loading dock, they can make here and come in here, but as they're going to come out that way, it might be helpful if some of those did not exist.
I understand your point and the concern. I can tell you that we looked specifically at that area, and that's why originally we had spots all across here, and they were eliminated based upon the computer model, and that's why we're where we're at.
If you have that, I would
Well,
enjoy
It's
it.
gonna-
this
It's in the smalls?
This only reflects the access to the property.
Okay.
And that's what was submitted to the fire marshal. It would not, we can certainly rearrange some of this if you feel that that's warranted, and we can add some parking in other places. There's plenty of room for additional parking, so if you feel like you wanted us to adjust this area, we're happy to do so, and I don't think a parking variance would be necessary.
It's not going to be our maintenance hassle, but we would, I'm sure, look favorably on losing a few parking spaces that are not likely to be used if it allows you to operate your building more efficiently. So it's really in your court.
I understand the point, and I will say that this layout came specifically from the tenant. They did their own truck routing, and that's how the spaces were located. But,
Okay.
Again, I don't think that it would be a big deal to move some more islands to give us some more room. Absolutely.
Yeah. The tenant, we went through a lot of painful negotiation with them, and in fact, they bring a whole team
Okay.
outside of Mike, of engineers and architects, and they come out and they do all their studies as well. And I think you bring up a great point. I would have to go back to this tenant, reopen the lease negotiation or the lease that's been signed, and
Yeah,
ask them to
cancel and
change.
card back. It's not a suggestion that's going to change the result.
Are there currently parking spaces behind that building?
There are, the approved plan does indicate that. All the parking in the back is all faded. The pavement itself is...
utilized.
Correct.
There won't be an entrance to this retail establishment from the rear, correct?
Only for employees.
Okay. So if any patrons park there, they have to walk around the side to the front?
That would
Okay.
be correct. We're just indicating it to meet code.
Yep.
Not anticipated to be used, and that's why we were able to add some buffer in here, because we didn't need all of the pavement back there.
Like, I thought you said minor pavement improvements?
Yeah, when I
That
speak,
parking lot is in pretty rough shape back there.
yes, they are indicated on the plan is specifically which areas are proposed to be overlaid and which areas are going to be repaved, if you will. To get into more specifics, in this area here, I don't know if everyone is familiar with the shopping center or not, there's a very low spot in here. We're going to be filling that area up. This area here is going to remain untouched. This area back in here is going to receive heavy-duty pavement for the trucks, and then this area in here will be overlaid.
You do have a small version.
There is a pavement key on sheet 2 of the site plan. I believe it's sheet 2. Actually, yeah. Indicate there the areas that, how they can be treated.
This is small.
Right.
You got that? If you could, the lighting plan, if you get a second, just go over that. 'Cause you got the small ones.
Yeah, I didn't bring a board for that, but all the lighting fixtures that are presently there are proposed to remain, the poles. We're just changing the fixtures themselves. There's a couple of poles that are gonna be relocated, and those are indicated on this plan here. Specifically, like this pole is gonna be moved 10 feet. There's, I think, 3 or 4 poles that are gonna be moved 10, 15 feet just because of the redistribution of the parking. But it's the fixtures that are gonna be upgraded.
And you can testify for our tired eyes that can't read that small print that you're using full cutoff LEDs and there's no more than 0.5 foot candles on the
Yes,
property line?
yes, that's correct. That plan was actually prepared by another engineer, Pete Bonis, but I did review it, and I can...
I have the one big one here if you want it.
I know, because I could.
I
Yes.
accept his testimony.
Okay, thank you.
0.5. Will the dumpster in the back be screened?
Yes. There's an enclosure here. I didn't mean screened, I meant enclosed.
Enclosed?
Yes,
Correct.
there's no landscaping back
Right.
there, if that's what you...
A fence is screening?
That's correct.
Yep. And you're basically squaring up the building in the back with this?
That's
little
correct,
addition.
yes.
Any other questions from the commission? The public? I forgot to ask. Did you guys want to comment on the prior application? Sorry, I forgot
Actually,
to
I did
ask
want
you.
to
I'm
say one
sorry.
thing it might want to add. I've seen in other municipalities where they have like a bar.
Right.
Where people can sit, stand, they're not necessarily sitting, and I think that gets them out of the health department issue, but still provides a way for them to eat inside. I have seen that in other places.
Yeah, but the problem with her layout is the public bathroom.
Right, but then it's not a seat, so you don't need a bathroom, but you have a place for somebody to eat by standing. But that's other municipalities.
Standing, but no stools.
Yeah.
Right.
Does our
Yeah,
code
standing up.
include standing as a seated dining?
I didn't, you guys have, yeah, it's all, semantics, and I know where you're trying to get to, but I have seen that in other places, so maybe that'll help you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And this application has all the sign-offs from all the department heads?
Correct.
Okay. Commission feels we have enough information to close the public hearing?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing, seeing there's no input from the public.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Would you like to deliberate on this?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go off the
You're off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a center where, because there's no visibility to that corner of the building, there's been a succession of tenants over time.
Right.
So it's relatively problematic. Putting in a good anchor that has a regional draw to it or an area draw to it and sprucing up that corner is in everybody's interest.
Yeah, they do a nice job in terms of bringing up the back of the building, which is in a state of disrepair. Not horrible, but I think that's a benefit to this as well.
Yeah, and having been in a few of those negotiations, I know what you mean about going back to the well, so. It's not, it just appeared like a movement that an over-the-road trucker would be struggling with over time. But if it meets their criteria, it's time to stop talking to them.
You're no lawyer.
Oh. They're just painful memories. With actually your Long Island office. So no, to me, it's a permitted use and a welcome change, to a center that, ever since it lost Edwards,
Yes.
Yes.
could have used a food use.
That's true. There used to be a food
Right.
store there many years ago.
Right, and Orange is,
Right.
Orange is still without, I mean, Big Y moved in, but Orange is still without a full service. Oh, no, the Stop and Shop, no, ShopRite went in on that end of the Orange.
Right.
But really, on the Milford side, so to speak.
I mean, there's a Trader
Trader Joe's,
Joe's.
but that's tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny and it's not a full service. And it's a wonderful store, don't get me wrong, but it's not full service. I think it would be a good addition, too.
Okay. I mean, it meets the regulations, it's a permitted use, it has all the sign-offs.
Yep.
If fire marshal input was, addressed, and town engineer's issues were addressed, so. We can entertain a motion.
All right, I'm going to move that we approve the...
There is site work, so there will be a bond, just.
A bond?
Yeah, just a
Okay.
performance bond. It's mostly for the paving, site work, things like that.
Okay,
so.
do you need me to calculate any areas or anything?
Yeah, we'll have, you send us line items of what will be calculated into the cost,
Okay.
and then myself and the town engineer will review it and get back to you.
Okay. And I think the other open item was the sewer connection. Is his approval the only thing I need for that? Grease trap.
Bob Britton, the town engineer,
Yes.
is also the director of the WPCA, so he would be the one
Okay.
to go through that. But you would have to go through him, depending on what you're looking to do. He could either do it himself, or it would be to the WPCA.
Okay, so I'll discuss that with him directly.
Absolutely.
The only thing we're doing is adding a grease trap.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'll move that we approve the site plan application submitted by R&F Orange LLC for the property known as 538 Boston Post Road to construct a 2361 square foot expansion in the rear of the existing building and to update the current parking lot. The lighting supplement has also been submitted and is part of the motion as well.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Yep, congratulations, guys.
Hey, Jackie, by the
Yes.
way, I want you to talk with the town engineer. I want to see truck movements on site plans.
Moving forward.
Thing
That's
going
new
forward.
business. We finally got
Gotcha.
some.
Okay?
Yep.
Do you want your truck routing back? Or you've got it on your computer?
Yeah, I have it. Thank you.
Okay, if there is no other business to come before the commission, Mr. Kaplan?
Oh, move to adjourn.
All those in
I
favor?
agree.
Aye. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Aye.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Okay.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, everybody.
Tell Ozzy.